Hi everyone, and welcome to my sewing room. I know it's been a couple of weeks. It's been a crazy kind of month for me, but I'm back to finish that doll, so don't go away. Okay, as I just said, we're going to finish the doll up today. I'm not going to go into a lot of detail about costuming because, to be honest with you, I play it by ear. I just kind of start pinning things on and figuring what they look like and see what I end up with. But I do want to show you how to put the hair on and kind of show you how I finished it up. So let's just go to the work table and we'll start with the hair.
Okay, we're going to start with the hair. And this is called Tibetan lamb hair, and you buy it on most doll sites, and it works really good for doll hair. I struggle a little bit with the skin on the inside because sometimes trying just it's too bulky, so I do part of it with cutting strips and part of it with literally taking the hair off and gluing it onto the doll. So the first thing I'm going to do is I'm going to use a pair of very sharp scissors, and I'm going to from this side and try and slide the scissors in so that you don't end up with a lot of little tiny pieces of fur everywhere. So there's a nice piece. Now I'm going to cut this in a strip like this. Just keep sliding the scissors underneath like this. And pull apart like that, and then you end up with a strip that kind of looks like this. And now I'm going to try and do one that's a little bigger so I get more. That one's better. I got a nice strip there. And then I've got purple. It doesn't look like purple on the camera, does it? It looks blue, but it is purple. And then this is black. And my black I like a little bit better because it hasn't turned quite so fuzzy. It's kind of looks more like hair. We'll turn that over and we'll cut that into strips like this. Try and hold this like that. There, see? So I'm going to end up with a lot of strips that look just like that. So here's our doll, and I'm going to turn her upside down like this. And I have this glue. It's like Fabri-Tac. It's called Fabri-Fix. It's by Beacon. It's not as thick as Fabri-Tac is, but it does a pretty good job. I have used hot glue for this as well, but you need a really good sticky glue that's going to hold really well. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to just put some of this glue right on the back of her head. And it is really, really sticky, so try not to get your fingers in it. The other thing is that I don't want to get the hair itself all the way to the front of her face because you'll see the animal skin in the end of it. So I try and just put it back a little bit. I'm going to push it onto this really good. And then I have some long pins that I'm going to pin on either side of this so it stays where I want it to be. So now if I turn it this way, you'll see that looks pretty good on this side. It's not right up against her face, and if I need to add some strings of hair in there, I will after I've got her head pretty much covered. So there is a black one, and now let's add a little purple in here. let's see. I'm trying to find some of these pieces I cut. This one looks like a pretty good one, but it's too long. I'm going to cut it a little bit smaller. Then I'm going to go ahead and put it right here on the back of her head. Let's bring this up. Oh, see, I don't like the way that is on the end there. Let's cut some of this off. Oops, that's okay. Let's put it right here and put a pin. And now let's see, where are we at? We're on the top, more towards the top of her head here. So let's put a little more glue. This stuff is so hard sometimes just to squeeze it on here. But it has to be a good thick glue or it won't do what we want it to do. I'm going to break my rule where I just said not to get your fingers in it because I want to smooth it over. Then try not to touch my fingers in the hair, the sticky part anyway. So we're going to put that right there. And I'll put a pin in that one too. And as I start to put this on here, I can kind of pull it forward a little bit and see how it's going to hang on the side of her face. I definitely need something right here. So let's see if I can't. I'm trying to separate this out a little bit because I want to put a piece right here. So I'm going to squeeze some more. Glue right there and just stick this piece right here. That kind of covers the back of her head pretty good. I like the way that looks, but I got to do the top of her head now. So we're going to do something a little bit different now. Okay, so this is wax paper that you just buy at any basically grocery store or any place. They have it where they have the bags and plastic wrap and everything. So I've taken some of this glue and I put it right on the wax paper. And then I am literally taking this fur and cutting it off of the back like this. Just taking it off like that as close as I can possibly get. And then this gets really sticky, and I know my fingers usually get covered in fur, but I'm going to hold it and then I'm going to just push it down into the glue like this. And I'm going to do another one. See if I can cut a piece. Oh, that wasn't a very good piece, but that's okay. We're going to put that right there. And I have another piece right here. I'm going to get as close as I can and cut that off. And then I have this, and I'm going to push it down into this little pool of glue that I have right here. Try not to make it too thick, because if you do, it won't glue all the way through and it won't hold. So the next thing that I'm going to do is I'm going to take some more of this glue and I'm going to put it across the top of this like that. And then I'm going to use the wax paper itself to push down on it. The wax paper will not stick to the glue. It'll just press it down for me. And then I can peel it away. And sometimes what I do is I just kind of push it a little bit here. No, I'm not going to do that. I'm like, I'll mess it up too much. So I'm going to let that dry, and then I should be able to literally just peel that right off of the wax paper and glue it to the doll. So give me a little bit, and I'll get the doll back over here and we'll see what we can do. Okay, let's see if this worked. It should be dry enough that I can peel it off. See the way the glue just comes off in one piece like this? There's one, and here's the other one, the purple. Some of it is still sticky. Just going to put that on there. Okay, now I want to do the front of her head so I can hide all of this. And I'm trying to figure out what I need to do to make it look good. Let's see. I think if I fold it like this, I've done this before, but it's been a long time ago, so that's why I'm kind of just talking this through. I'm folding it back on itself so I have more of a hair right here, and then that's gonna work. That'll hide her hairline. So we're gonna put a little bit more glue across the top here. Okay, you're gonna have to give me a minute so I can get a little bit more pressure with two hands. Okay, I did it. So now I'm going to take this piece here that I folded over, and I'm going to just glue it right here on the top of her head. Right there, and push it back. And then we're going to do the same thing with this purple piece. We're going to fold it back just a little bit. I think what I want to do is I'm going to give her, I'm going to put just a little tad bit of glue right here, and I'm going to put it down like this, and then push it back like this. And then I can nope, that's not working for me. Okay, so I took it back off again, and now I have the folded edge this way, and I'm going to put it right up against the black here. So that's almost like creating some bangs that goes into her face. And gives her a hairline. Let's see. See if we can maybe bring some of the black. I'm going to take some of this black and just take some extra pieces of it. And I think I'm going to add just a little glop of glue right here. I'm probably going to get hair all over my fingers in the course of doing this, but I'm going to glue that so that she's got some black coming down. Yep, just that little glop of hair right there is what she needed in the front to get her. And she's going to have the witch's hat. Well, she's not a witch. That's right. We're making a fairy, aren't we? So we won't have a witch's hat. We'll sew some, we'll put it like a little flower or something right there to kind of hide it. But look at the top of her head. Let me see. That looks, to me, that looks pretty good. That looks good. And then look at, let's see. Can you see her face? That looks pretty good to me. And that's the back. So we got her hair done. Look how nice that came out. So as you can see, I put a little piece of lace right there. It's just a little green dyed lace that I glued in place, and I'm going to sew some beads around it. I love to put lots of little really pretty colored beads everywhere. Just a needle and thread is going to handle that for you without any problem. Just use your imagination. Sometimes I'll even sew a little bead on the side of her nose just to give her a little nose ring if you want to do that. But let's go ahead and decide what we're going to do for her costuming. So I have this, it's kind of like an organza that's got beading and stuff on it. I always pick up all these crazy fabrics in different places from scrap bins and things like that. And this one, what I did was I was going to serge it with the serger, but what I ended up doing is if you take a candle and light it and then just very closely put this close to the flame, it'll melt the bottom of this if it's made of a polyester, and that'll finish it off so it doesn't fray and actually give it kind of a cool texture on the very end. So I did that on the bottom of that. And then I took a needle and thread and just basically held my fabric and went in and out and in and out like this until it gathered up. I got thread caught on her fingers here. So now I have a gathered skirt that's going to go on here, and I'm not that concerned about the way the top of it looks because I'm going to cover that up. So then I'm going to put this around her waist and pull it around here. Oh my gosh, I can't find my needle and thread. I don't know what I did with it. There we go. Let's go ahead and sew this on her right to the doll. We're not trying to make clothes like a baby doll for a little girl. We are going to literally sew these clothes right to this little girl, this little doll. So I can put the needle into the fabric of the doll and sew it right to her like that. Now, let's cut that and flip her over, and we can pull these little gathers wherever we want them to be. Now I have another piece of fabric that I got at Joann's of all places. Isn't that cool? It's kind of like a meshy, lacy fairy gauze. Can't even explain what it is, but it's pretty cool. I like it. And what I think I want to do with this is I literally want to, I'm going to fold it like this and like this and kind of chop this off with a rough edge and then cut it here. And then I'm going to gather this part and I'm going to put this on top of the other one. So I'm just going to take that same needle and thread and gather this up and sew it to her waist. So I did that. I got that little gauzy lacy stuff sewn all around her waist, and now I have a piece of stretch velvet. I love stretch velvet. It does a great job on dolls because it has so much give and you can pin it right to the doll and sew it in place. So I just kind of chopped up a piece and I'm going to pin it here because I do have some lace that I'm going to sew in place that I've dyed. I'll show that to you as soon as it dries, but I'm just going to pin this, and then I'll take the scissors and I'll just slit it right here so it'll fit under her arm and turn it around this way and stick a pin here. And then do the same thing over here and stick a pin here. I honestly don't know if any other doll makers do it like I do it. Everybody has their own way. I've seen people who take paper towels and pin it to the doll and make a pattern and then cut it out with that. This works for me. So I'm going to pin this, and then I'm going to take it I have way too much fabric here, especially if I pull it and stretch it. I'm going to cut some of this off here. And then I'm going to take this piece. I can see approximately how much I have to cut off here. And then I'll take it and I'll pull this stretch velvet really tight and put a pin in it here, pull it tight here, fold it under and pin it here. So now this part right here, if I tuck it under and pull it down over the raw edges that I have here, I can take this part and stitch it very neatly in place across the top of the skirt so that the stitches don't show. And then I'm going to put the lace, the dyed flowers that I created across the top here with some beads and stuff. So let's start by stitching this down here, and then I'll go from there. We'll see what we'll end up with. So for the last part of the video, I'm going to just kind of go over some of the ways that I finish up a doll. You can see that I have twisted her hair and just stuck a pin in it that'll hold it up out of my way until I get ready to put it back down again and do the finishing touches. I have gathered this skirt and put it on here, and then I've pinned some flowers. So one of the things I do is I go to the secondhand store and I look for old lace garments and that sort of thing, and then I take them home and I'll dye them with pigment pins or small bottles of dye or color or paint or anything. So that's what I did with this. I just dyed it, and it's kind of just like a fun lace that I cut off of a vest that I got at the secondhand store. And now what I want to do is, I want to pin it on her. If you look at this, I put a little bit of this glitter fabric on her arms just to give her more of a fairy look. I got this at Joann's. They had it over where their decorative fabrics were, but I think it makes me think of like fairy lace. So I thought that would be great for her arms, and I put a little bit here. And then what I'm going to do is I'm going to take this piece of lace that I have here, and I'm just going to kind of fiddle with it. I don't think there's any right or wrong way to do this. Basically, what I do is I lay it on her shoulder. I want to hide the ugly part where her shoulder and the top of her dress come together. So I'm going to pull it across here like this. And then I usually have a whole bunch of pins. So I'm going to put a pin there. Let's see. I think I want to pull this down this way and put a pin here. And then let's pull this. I want a little bit of it to go across the edge of this velvet, and a little bit of it to go kind of like up into the top part of her chest area. And then I don't think I like that. Yeah, I know I don't like that. So let's just cut that off. And then I'm going to put this here. And maybe pull this down here. And then after I do that, then maybe I'm going to take another flower and put it up here on her shoulder. Let's do this one. Let's put one right there. Just put a pin here and a pin here. This is one of the reasons they tease me about my pins, because after I finish doing all of this, I always have to go back and remember, where the heck did I put all those pins to hold things in place? So that's something that I'll just kind of play around with until it looks the way I want it to look. Then I'm going to take a needle and thread, and usually you want a very small needle that's thin that you can do this with. and I'm going to literally stick it into the doll and come out through the lace. And then usually I'm sure all of you have different kinds of beads and stuff. I'll show you my little bead thing, because to be honest with you, it's kind of funny because I spilt it once and they got all over the place, and I have never sat and organized it again. It is what it is. That's the way it looks. So I'm going to take some of these beads, and I'm going to just grab a little bead like this and then go back down in here. And come up in another spot. Oh my gosh. Don't ask me what I just did, but somewhere along the line, I lost that bead that I just put on there. I don't know what I did. I'm going to put this up this way. Her fingers grab everything. I'm going to turn it, grab just a little bit more of this lace, and go back up into this lace right here. Especially the parts like this where I've got it going, the lace kind of weaving its way up. That's a really good place. That's a really good place to put a bead on the end. I haven't even decided yet if I'm going to put other colors. So far I've been sticking pretty much with green. I could just put a bead right here in the middle of her skin. Let's see if we can find something. I usually try and keep them pretty small. I don't like that one, it's too big. Let's do this one here. I'm going to go in and back out again over here. So you could just put a bead just in the middle of nowhere like that, and just keep working yourself around, just decorating it up. Have some fun with this. Use your imagination in the same way that I showed you that you could use old earrings and stuff like that. I put a few crystals on here, those iron-on crystals that you can buy on the top there. I might put some in her lace too as I get going with that. And then once I'm done, I'll go ahead and pull this pin out and let her hair down, put some wings on her back. And I'm not going to show you how I did the shoes. They're just basically polymer clay shoes that I'm going to stick on there and decorate around the edges where the stockings and the shoes come together. But that's how I'm going to finish her up, with some little fairy boots on her. And then give me a second and I'll come back and I'll show you how I finish this doll all up.
Okay, so here she is. She's all finished. There's her little face, and that you can see her hair. I put that butterfly that we made at one of my other videos for freestanding lace on the back for her wings. And I ended up putting some kind of like boots on that are made partly of polymer clay and partly of just glued on lace. I kind of like the way they look. I think they're really simple but pretty. And then I sewed all of that lace around her bodice and around the bottom, and I don't know, I might even go back and add a little bit more to it. I haven't decided yet, but for now she's finished, and I think she came out really good. I know that I spent like 4 whole weeks doing nothing but working on this doll, and that's possibly actually is the reason why it's taken me so long between takes, is because I've been teaching a class as well in the store that I work at on how to put a doll together, and that's been taking up a whole lot of my time. So I'm glad that you were patient with me. Thank you for those of you who have continued to watch, but I'm not going to get away from teaching you how to use your sewing machines. We'll do some more things on the Stellaire. I'm actually been thinking about maybe going in and reorganizing the playlist so you can find things a little bit easier. My mother owns a Stellaire all the way in California, and she has been struggling a little bit and told me, I watch your videos, but I still get a little bit lost. So I'll try and straighten that out a little bit. And I think next week when we come back, we're going to actually dive right in and do something with PE Design software, or maybe even the scan and cut, because I teach a scan and cut class and I haven't done anything really basic with scan and cut yet. Anyway, make a comment. Let me know if there's something that you've been just really dying to know more about your brother's sewing machine. And I hope you guys have a great week. Thanks again, and I'll see you next time. Bye-bye.